The chapter opens with the survivors in the cave reacting to the news of the rescue ship. Upon hearing Joe Andy's initial assumption, many cheer, believing the ship is from Colombia and fantasizing about a good life there. Li Zhongyu corrects them, stating the ship is from Huashu Kingdom, which immediately chills the atmosphere. Joe Andy expresses disbelief, questioning why Li Zhongyu contacted Huashu instead of Colombia. A Colombian citizen in the group loudly protests, asserting his constitutional right to wait for the Colombian Navy. A Silla official named Che Haicheng, Cha Haesung, also voices opposition, suggesting Colombia or Malaya as better destinations than Huashu Kingdom. This reveals a long-standing conflict within the group, which is divided into three factions: the Huashu faction led by Li Zhongyu, comprising Huashu citizens and overseas Chinese, a foreign faction hoping to reach Western nations, and a group of centrists with no strong opinion. Che Haicheng and his associates are staunch members of the foreign faction and criticize Li Zhongyu's decision. Li Zhongyu, frustrated, argues that they have appealed to all neighboring countries countless times with no response, and only Huashu Kingdom is willing to save them, emphasizing that survival is paramount. His girlfriend, Zhang Weiwei, supports him, warning that Yanlu Island is growing more dangerous, food is running low, and other survivors are beginning to fight each other. Amid the argument, a young woman named Sun Wanqi, nicknamed Little Fish, speaks up. She suggests they go to Huashu Kingdom for now as they have no other choice, and they can find a way to leave later. She boasts that she knows how to get out of Huashu Kingdom well, as she and her mother left from there, and claims her old man, father/grandfather, used to hold a high-ranking position there, promising to take care of everyone. The group knows her background is legitimate. She is the granddaughter of a high-ranking local official. Her words make Che Haicheng and others thoughtful. Ma Wenjiang then steps forward, stating calmly that there is nothing wrong with returning to Huashu, that survival is the current priority, and other conflicts can be discussed later. He hints the outside world may be worse than they imagine and this might be their only chance. Joe Andy scoffs, accusing Ma Wenjiang of self-interest since he is from Huashu. Ma Wenjiang reiterates that the key issue is where they can survive. He walks to Li Zhongyu's side to show his support. Looking at the hesitant crowd, Li Zhongyu feels a bond from their half-year of mutual support and is unwilling to abandon anyone. He declares his decision to go back with the Huashu ship and pleads for everyone to trust him and come along. The crowd whispers among themselves, expressing doubts about going to an unfamiliar country, language barriers, and personal dislike. Che Haicheng, known for his shrewdness, ponders for a long time before finally walking to Li Zhongyu's side, stating he believes Li Zhongyu will lead them to a better life. His decision influences others to side with Li Zhongyu. In the end, most people choose to leave with the Huashu rescue ship. Only 5 or 6 Colombian citizens stubbornly refuse, insisting on their right to wait for a Colombian rescue ship. After failed attempts at persuasion, Li Zhongyu and the others respect their choice. Zhang Weiwei suggests leaving some food and clothing for those staying behind, but most people, led by Che Haicheng who clutches his backpack tightly, are unwilling to part with their supplies, citing uncertainty about the voyage and the need for emergency rations. Only Zhang Weiwei and a few others leave some water and food behind. Li Zhongyu counts the departing members and goes to inform Zhang Yi and Zhu Yonk. The chapter begins with the survivors' reaction to Zhang Weiwei's suggestion to leave supplies. Che Haicheng's attitude of refusing to share reflects the majority view. No one is willing to give their supplies to the Colombians choosing to stay. Some even mock them, saying adults must face the consequences of their choices. Zhang Weiwei is helpless and can only silently leave some of her own food and water, which a few others also do. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi and his team are not idle. Some experienced sailors from his crew locate a nearby hot spring. Zhang Yi leaves 2 crew members to guard the cave entrance and takes Zhu Yonk and Zhou Kur to the hot spring. The spring is a mist-shrouded, underground pool of bubbling hot water that emits a sulfur smell. Zhou Kur comments happily that the spring water is good for the body and can treat skin diseases, even keeping a woman's skin young. Zhang Yi teases her, asking if she wants to soak. Zhou Kur blushes slightly and declines, saying she is busy and doesn't want to waste time. Zhu Yonk, however, feels an intense itch all over her body. On the ship, bathing was a luxury due to limited freshwater rations, even she could only take a 10-minute hot bath once a week. Seeing the hot spring, she desperately wants to bathe. She stares at Zhang Yi and demands to bathe there, leaving no room for refusal. Zhang Yi, who had originally considered taking the water back, agrees, reasoning that soaking in the spring is part of the experience. Both women are overjoyed by his approval. Zhang Yi posts crew members as guards outside while they bathe. There are several spring pools. Zhu Yonk asks Zhang Yi for a towel and goes to a separate area. Zhang Yi soaks with Zhou Kur so they can scrub each other's backs. Zhang Yi reflects that it has been a year since he last soaked in a hot spring, during a company team building trip, and feels a pang of emotion remembering colleagues who perished in the apocalypse. He feels fortunate to now have others like Zhou Kor by his side. Zhou Kor lies with him in the pool, enjoying the relaxing effect on her muscles, noting the particular comfort of a hot soak in the cold winter. Li Zongyu arrives looking for Zhang Yi and, upon learning he is bathing, waits obediently. Over half an hour later, Zhang Yi finishes his bath, feeling slightly dizzy from soaking too long. He calls out to the adjacent cave where Zhu Yunk is, telling her it's time to go back, while drinking watermelon juice, a pleasure he enjoys. After calling several times with no response, Zhou Kor worries Zhu Yunk might have fainted. Zhang Yi tells her to go check, explaining his gentlemanly behavior is to avoid trouble, likening it to a scenario where someone could falsely accuse him of being a pervert. Zhou Kor understands and goes to find Zhu Yunk. She soon returns helping a flushed Zhu Yunk, who seems to have overdone it, blood rushing to her head. Zhu Yunk gives Zhang Yi a resentful look, frustrated he hasn't taken her many hinted opportunities. Zhang Yi coldly tells them to leave and walks out. They soon meet Li Zongyu's group, whom the narrative refers to as the Yanlu group. Zhang Yi glances around and recognizes some faces, wealthy Huashu businessmen and even Tianhai City local officials he's seen on TV, which makes sense given the wealth required for such a vacation. Suddenly, Sun Wanqi excitedly runs out from the group towards Zhu Yunk, calling her Alice and asking if she remembers her. Zhu Yunk thinks for a moment and recognizes her as Lisa, expressing surprise she is here. Sun Wanqi trembles with excitement, asking if Zhu Yunk is part of the rescue team. Zhu Yunk smooths her hair, nods, and smiles, stating her uncle is the head of the Jiangnan region and that she and a friend are leading the rescue mission. Sun Wanqi is overjoyed, saying she feels much more at ease with her senior there, as she was initially afraid of not knowing who the rescuers were. The two know each other from MIT, where Sun Wanqi gained entry through donations, and move in the same social circles in Colombia. Zhang Yi observes this but is unmoved. He has someone count the people and then prepares to address them. With everyone assembled, Zhang Yi lays out the rules for boarding the ship. He states he will provide necessary food and water to ensure their survival, but they must unconditionally obey all his orders. He clarifies he won't order them to kill, commit arson, or sell their bodies, but at minimum, no one should cause him trouble at sea. He emphasizes the voyage has consumed immense time, energy, and resources and is fraught with risks like sea monsters, pirates, and severe weather. Sternly, he declares any behavior causing him trouble will be absolutely intolerable, and with a cold smile, states violators will be thrown into the ICC. These words send chills through the crowd, with some muttering about the rescue team being inhumane and expressing regret. Sun Wanqi whispers to Zhu Yunk that Zhang Yi is terrifying and damaging Huashu Kingdom's image, urging her to do something. Zhu Yunk, wanting to save face in front of her junior, says Zhang Yi has always been like that and she doesn't bother arguing, but justifies his actions as necessary for a successful rescue, asking for cooperation. Zhang Yi, hearing the murmurs, smiles faintly and offers them a choice. Anyone who finds him domineering and ruthless can choose to stay behind now. A murmur ripples through the crowd, their faces show dissatisfaction and worry about life on the ship, but no one chooses to leave, knowing staying means certain death with no guarantee of another ship. Seeing no objections, Zhang Yi continues, demanding they hand over all weapons and communication devices, explicitly forbidding personal weapons including firearms, ammunition, knives, and even nail clippers. When someone sarcastically asks what to do if their nails get long, Zhang Yi smiles, narrows his eyes, and says they can sharpen them on the floor. Li Zongyu quickly interjects, urging everyone to trust the Huashu rescuers. Reluctantly, the Yanlu gang members surrender over a dozen guns, with few bullets, knives, iron bars, and other items. Zhang Yi knows anything can be a weapon if one is determined. His goal is simply to prevent this group from courting death and to avoid trouble, which he hates. Che Haicheng then approaches Zhang Yi, bowing and scraping. He introduces himself as Cha Haesung from Silla, profusely thanks Zhang Yi for the rescue, and bows 90 degrees. Zhang Yi thinks the old man is shrewd and merely nods in acknowledgement. He doesn't particularly like such mercenary types but doesn't hate them either, recognizing they get by easily in society. Che Haicheng continues flattering, saying his life belongs to Zhang Yi from now on and offering to do anything. Zhang Yi tells him just to mind his own business and not cause trouble. Che Haicheng stands at attention, agrees, then turns and shouts to the Yanlu group, "Long live Huashu Kingdom! Long live Mr. Zhang!" Some of his friends follow suit, while others look disgusted, though some clever ones join in, showering Zhang Yi with praise, calling him their savior and an angel from God. Zhang Yi remains completely unconcerned and unmoved, knowing most are government officials or wealthy businessmen on vacation. He feels no affection for them. For people like Che Haichang, however, currying favor is crucial, as gaining even a sliver of Zhang Yi's favor might mean survival in a critical moment. Before departure, Zhang Yi asks Li Zhongyu if everyone is present. Li Zhongyu sighs helplessly, reporting that a few Colombians refuse to go, waiting for a Colombian rescue team. Zhang Yi nods and says it's fine, that he always respects others' opinions. As he speaks, his gaze flickers slightly toward a crew member beside him, and his right hand casually makes a sweeping motion across his neck twice. The two crew members immediately understand. The secret of the source of God must never be revealed, especially not to the Colombians. The group leaves the cave. Those who chose to stay watch them go, gripped by a sudden, immense fear, but ultimately decide to wait for their country's ship. Soon, footsteps echo at the cave entrance. The remaining foreigners look on in surprise as the two crew members return. They ask what they can do for them. The crew members smile, draw silenced pistols, and a series of bayubia sounds echoes through the cave. Zhang Yi's group heads towards the port. A while later, the two crew members catch up, apologizing that they went to relieve themselves. Zhang Yi glances at them, and after a brief eye contact, understands the task is done. He orders them to return to the group. This silent exchange makes some people, like Mao and Zhan, uneasy. He seems to guess something but only slowly shakes his head without speaking. As they walk, the Yenlu gang members see the mangled corpses of Kunbi's men along the way and are horrified, asking how they died. Zhang Yi states calmly that he killed them. Che Haiching quickly exclaims, "Well done," claiming the dead must have been up to no good and praising Zhang Yi and his crew. Sun Wanqi, walking beside Zhu Yongkan relying on their relationship and her father's status, carries an air of superiority, even viewing Zhang Yi as merely someone sent to rescue her. Seeing the corpses, she turns pale, clutches her chest, and cannot help but criticize Zhang Yi, saying killing them was too cruel. Zhang Yi pauses, furrows his brows, and stares at her face with amusement, asking if she pities bandits. Sun Wanqi shakes her head and says they were just a group of pitiful people struggling to survive. She argues that in the past they were trying to survive, and now that Zhang Yi is here with the chance to take them away, he didn't have to kill them. She stares at Zhang Yi righteously and declares, "I must criticize you. What you've done is severely damaging the international image of Huashu Kingdom." Zhang Yi, having heard Sun Wanqi's moralistic criticisms and her denigration of Huashu Kingdom, stops the group. He coldly questions her nationality. Sun Wanqi, emboldened by his silence, continues her lecture, claiming she helps the homeless and starving children abroad and criticizing Huashu people as generally selfish. She condemns Zhang Yi's use of lethal force. Zhang Yi finds her mindset incomprehensible. Without arguing further, he announces a change of direction, leading the group not to the port but towards the lair of the ambushers they killed. Li Zhongyu assumes they are going to collect supplies. Along the way, Sun Wanqi, believing Zhang Yi fears her family's influence, becomes even more vocal in her criticism of Huashu Kingdom's civilization and her own perceived superiority for having studied abroad. Upon arrival at the cave's stronghold, a horrific scene greets them. The ground is littered with human bones and black blood, with bits of flesh still attached. A large chopping board with foul-smelling axes and machetes sits at the entrance. Zhang Yi, wearing a mask, invites everyone inside. Sun Wanqi protests, but Zhang Yi impatiently grabs her by the ponytail and drags her, crying in pain, into the cave. Inside, the true horror is revealed. The cave is a human processing facility. Skinned corpses hang on walls like meat, intestines are strung up to dry, skins are laid out for clothing, and blood is collected in basins. Sun Wanqi, terrified, screams and falls, knocking over a basin of wastewater that spills 2 human eyes onto her. She faints from the shock. Zhang Yi asks her mockingly if the people he killed are more pitiful or the people processed in this food factory are, suggesting some victims might have been her friends.